This is Uprising. I'm Sonali Kolhatkar. 72-year-old Michel Kafando is Burkina Faso's new president. Sworn in as a transitional head of state, the former UN ambassador will not be able to run in upcoming elections. The current state of affairs is the result of protesters burning down a parliament building in the capital Ouagadougou last month, leading longtime President Blaise Compaoré to flee to Côte d'Ivoire. Lieutenant Colonel Isaac Yakuba Zida, who heads Burkina Faso's military, took charge in the interim. Some of his supporters chanted his name during the transitional president's inauguration. Burkina Faso had been considered one of West Africa's most stable nations. It is a landlocked country lying just to the north of Ghana and a former French colony. Joining me now to analyze the situation is Dr. Boniface Dulani. He is a lecturer in political science at Chancellor College at the University of Malawi. Welcome to Uprising.
Good morning.
Thanks so much for joining us. Well, first, can you give our listeners a little bit of a historical context? Blaise Compaoré was in power since 1987. He overthrew the regime of Thomas Sankara, a left-wing revolutionary anti-colonial leader. Can you tell us a little bit about Compaoré's very long rule in Burkina Faso and what motivated protesters to kick him out of power?
Well, you mentioned the fact that Burkina Faso has been one of the most stable states in West Africa. Of course, it has been, but largely under leadership that has come from the military. Only once, I think, between 1959 and 1966, did Burkina Faso have a leader that was not affiliated with the military. Of course, Blaise Compaoré has been in power for so long, in part, I think, using force to remain in power, and manipulating the constitution as well. But I think it got to a point where Burkinabe citizens had enough. And this is not surprising. I think consistently Burkina Faso citizens have demonstrated that they prefer term limits, and they are also increasingly averse to military rule.
So let's also talk about the military head, Lieutenant Colonel Zida, who took power in the vacuum, has now stepped back. It's possible he may have presidential aspirations. And the African Union and others threatened sanctions if he didn't return rule to civilian leadership. Tell us a little bit about his background, given that he is, as you said, leading a military that has perhaps been more in charge behind the scenes.
Yes, I mean, Lieutenant Colonel Zida actually was the chief of staff for President Blaise Compaoré. So he's someone who's seen to be very close to the former regime. And obviously, the military plays an important role in Burkinabe politics. Just yesterday, actually, we also heard, not just this morning, actually, we heard that Colonel Zida has been appointed the interim prime minister. So he might have presidential ambitions of his own. And again, given the long history of the military's involvement in Burkinabe politics, I would not be surprised to hear that he is also putting himself forward as a candidate in the presidential elections that will be held after a year.